So Kaylee, I appreciate you meeting with me. Um, today you're gonna share a little bit about your story, um, what changed in your life, what your recovery looks like, and then how you're supporting other people. And
Okay,
I'm just really excited to hear more about your journey. So the floor is
awesome.
yours.
Okay, so I want to start off by like saying I was adopted when I was 4. But I mean I do know my biological parents. I do have a relationship with my dad, not so much my mom because she is an active user, and I mean we just don't get along. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sober now and she's not, and she thinks that I just owe her everything, and it's difficult. But the people that I grew up with, my parents are amazing. They've supported me through everything. Um, and they fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself, and that was a big deal. A lot of I feel like some people who were adopted don't always get that like happy ending, I guess, like happy life. And I got really lucky. Um, I guess what started my addiction was I was in my like late 20s, early 30s, maybe, I want to say. And well, let me backtrack for a second. In 2014, I was diagnosed with MS. Um, so fast forward a couple years, and um, basically, I had gotten an MRI done, had some blood work done, and they told me that they thought I had PML, which is a pretty serious like thing. And basically, it kills you in like 6 months. And I was pretty devastated about that. My boyfriend at the time was using. I wasn't really sure what methamphetamine was, anything like that. And he's like, "Well, here, try this. This might make you feel better." So of course I did, and I was off and running. First 2 weeks of using it, I didn't sleep, I didn't eat, I had tons of energy. I was like, "Man, I like this. This is fun." And of course, it's not. It's not.
Right.
A lot of people will tell you that, you know, oh, you can only try it one time and you won't be hooked. And I feel like with meth, it's not like that. Like you try that stuff one time and that's it. You're off to the hills. You're off running to the races, and there's no looking back. Um, I and here's part of where my trigger warning kind of comes up is I had put myself in some pretty crazy situations. Trusted people I shouldn't have trusted, and I was at this guy's house because I went with a friend, and he was like, "Oh, we're just gonna go hang out here for a little bit." I was like, "All right, cool, whatever. I'm getting high. I don't care what I'm doing." You know what I mean? So he ended up actually leaving me there and promising, "Oh, I'll be right back. I'll be right back." Like I guess days passed. Like I don't really know how long I was there because I mean I was doing all the drugs. I was partying. I was doing all kinds of things, and basically, like I got raped because obviously when you're that high and doing things, no still means no. Just because you're inebriated doesn't mean that you can be taken advantage of. And I woke up being shot up with dope, like with methamphetamine, which is kind of scary because when you're passed out and you're waking up, like I don't know if you've ever been an IV user or anything like that, but like it, the feeling is it's crazy. And to have to experience that for the first time for something that I didn't even want to do was again one of those things that was kind of like off to the races. Here we go. And it just kind of took me down a bad path. Like I always said I would never be one of those people who shot drugs, and never say never
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's you can't always guarantee that. And or you're gonna say I'll never cross that bridge, and you cross it. You just do things that you don't ever think that you're gonna do. I stole from my family. I lied to my family. I lost custody of my kids. Like, and my daughter, it was hard for her because she and I were always together all the time, always. Um, so for her, that was really difficult. I'd have to go on the visits and stuff, and when we'd have to leave, she's screaming for me, and I'm in tears and crying. And you would think that would be enough for me to be like, "Hey, I need to change my life around. Like, what am I doing with myself?" So that went on for a couple of years. Put my family through hell. That was probably the darkest time of my life. Um, and then I want to say like towards the end of my addiction, we were living in this trap house, and There was a prostitute doing her thing on our couch, just craziness, you know. Um, I think really what opened my eyes to it was my best friend overdosed. Um, I had just gotten out of a rehab, like prison like rehab thing, and I had talked to him and I told him, I said, this is, you got to get clean. You got to do something to change your life around. I said, it's never hopeless, because he had gotten to that point where that's how he felt. And then one day we got a phone call, and after that day, I never touched fentanyl again in my life. I'd used pretty much any drug you can think of. But I think meth and fentanyl were the worst. Um, so that really like opened my eyes. I was like, that could be me. I don't want to do that to my kids. I don't want to do that to my family. I Who wants to bury their child? They don't.
Right.
And the other hardest thing that I had to do was, I had to tell his mom that he had passed away from a fentanyl overdose. Um, and her and I were pretty close. So having to go at her house at 2 o'clock in the morning and tell her, even though the cops had already been there, hearing it from somebody who knew him as well as, I did, that was what happened. It was difficult. It was definitely something I never want to have to do again in my life. It was tragic. I wasn't myself for months, but you know, I mean, it it is what I guess, not it is what it is, but it definitely opened my eyes to what I was doing to my family. How they didn't know if they were going to be the ones getting that phone call. Um,
It's hard because obviously we don't think about the effects, that our use has on our family in the moment, right? A lot of times we have those resentments that are building up, and it's easy to
yes.
blame them for everything that's going wrong in our life. Um, but then yeah, when we get into recovery and we start to like see the effects. I did have a question. You had mentioned that your friend had passed away, and obviously, you were using and were you able to deal with that in your use, or was it like, did it come later?
It's honestly, I don't honestly know that I've still really dealt with it. Um, I I used to, like, not that long ago. I lived actually about 10 minutes from where he was buried, and I went to the gravesite, and I didn't really cry because I don't know, like, I was so numb when it happened because I was getting high. I was stuffing the feelings, that I honestly don't know that I've ever really had a chance to like deal with it.
Right.
I'm still kind of working through that because I have guilt about it too, because I'm like, he was supposed to come and see me and talk to me that day. Had he actually shown up, or I had gone to where he was, maybe he wouldn't be dead. And I know that you can't do that to yourself. That's one of those things you're just like, don't do it to yourself, because there's nothing you could have done, because if it hadn't been that day, it would have been another day.
Right.
And unfortunately, some people say that's a really messed up thing to say, but I'm like, if you think about it, it's the truth, because they're going to continue to use. Nothing that you're going to say is going to stop them until they're ready. It has to be something that you're ready for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough thing to that acceptance piece, right? When people aren't
Yeah.
ready, and ultimately we all have to make our own decisions. And yeah, I know with fentanyl, it's just only getting worse, people are dying
It
left and
is.
right.
It
It's
is.
pretty pretty tragic. Um, so you said that your use lasted for a couple years, or how long did your chronic
I
use?
want to say like 5, 6 years, maybe.
Sure.
I couldn't tell you the exact dates because I honestly don't. I don't remember.
Right, yeah. It's
Um,
all a blur, right?
yeah, pretty much. I
Yep.
just know it was a stretch of time. It was probably a good at least 5 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm 36 and I'll have 3 years sober on the 31st of July. So
Amazing. Congratulations. That's coming
thank
up.
you. Yes, so excited about that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I never thought, if you had told me like 10, or no, I want to say like almost 4 years ago, that hey, you're gonna be sober and have a job and be married and have your kids back in your life and be clean, I'd have been like, yeah, right. No
Yeah.
way. I don't believe that.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, you've talked about some pretty, dark stuff that's happened to you. Like, and so, you know, to have all those things happen, or, you know, and then to be where you're at today in your life. Can you talk a little bit about the turning point and like what changed for you?
Really what it was I was living with my best friend and her boyfriend and my boyfriend, and like basically a trap house, like I said.
Yeah.
And there was a prostitute, like I said, doing her thing on the couch. So you'd open your bedroom door and be like, whoa, like you just nope, can't unsee what you saw. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my friend actually got bit by her boyfriend's dog. And this is not the first time that's happened, but it was really bad this time. It looked like there was a murder in our house
Mm.
because of all the blood everywhere. It was bad. So she was in the hospital and I was going up and visiting her, and he kind of like he went crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like he would blame me for all kinds of craziness. Like, she had told him that she didn't want him up there because he would stress her out. All they would do is fight. And I would be up there constantly as my best friend. So I was there all the time.
Right.
Um, so I think really what did it for me was, first of all, I was tired of getting high. I was tired of it. It was a chore. I was an IV drug user. I was I'd spend hours trying to hit a vein and couldn't do it. I was wasting more than I was trying to do. So really I was just like, what am I doing with my life?
Right.
And really the ultimate thing was he poisoned my dog. He didn't kill him, but he poisoned my puppy. And then like would try and pick fights with me when my boyfriend wasn't home. So like he would wait till my boyfriend wasn't home, pick fights with me, and then threaten to call the cops because of course I had a warrant at that time. So I was terrified of that. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to jail. Um, so finally the one night when he was like throwing stuff at the door, just being like overly crazy, I looked at my now husband and I'm like, it's time to go. Like I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. It's not worth it to me to do this anymore. I said, I'm either going to go to jail because I beat the crap out of this dude, or he's going to call the cops on me and I'm going to go to jail anyway.
Right.
I mean, he poisoned my dog and then tried to blame me for it. I'm like, wow, that, and the overdose of my best friend, like those things just kind of coupled together was
Yeah.
like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
It's time to like turn it around and get clean. My kids need me,
Yeah.
they want their mom. They don't want this strung out drug addict who is there occasionally and calls on birthdays and stuff like that, but they never see her.
Right.
So really thinking about my kids and doing all that was what really I was like, all right, it's time to make a change. I couldn't do it anymore.
Can you talk a little bit about what that change entailed? So, you know, some people go to treatment, some people like for you, how that looks, and maybe
Um,
a little bit about your program
yeah,
today.
yeah. So what I did basically was I moved into my mom's house. I talked to her and I was like, Mom, we're done with all this. We need help. And she's like, all right, you can come here, but you have to turn yourself in on your warrant. You have to get all that taken care of, or you can't stay here. So we did like a birthday celebration for my mom. And that following Monday, I went and turned myself in, which I was clean. So the judge went easy on me. I was still in jail for 2 weeks, which sucked, but I didn't have to go to like a treatment or do anything like that. I just had to do what I was supposed to do when I got out of NeoCap, which was the like it was kind of like a rehab, but like a level 1 prison lightweight. I'm not really sure how to describe it.
Like a
Um,
secured treatment
yeah,
facility. Okay.
yeah. Couldn't leave, couldn't do any of that. Had to stay there and do that. So when I got out of NeoCap, I was supposed to do IOP and stuff like that, but I didn't do it, of course, because I was too busy doing other things.
Right.
So I did IOP and I completed an IOP program. I did an aftercare program, which basically was just like meetings after the IOP, just kind of helping to set you up for like future, like be prepared for anything that's going to come your way.
Right. Right.
And then I found these Facebook groups.
Mhm.
Um, the one currently that I admin for right now and is the Recover Out Loud recovery group too,
Mhm.
and Recovery Rockstars that I run.
That's
And
where I met you, I think.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I admin for that for Recover Out Loud, and then I run Recovery Rockstars. And we do lives. We people reach out to us. Like the amount of people that we've helped has just been amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome. I have a great team of people who, we're like family, and we can lean on each other for anything. Um, it's amazing. I don't know if you know any of these people, but Jamie,
Hmm.
she's my best friend. That girl has really, I look up to her because she took me kind of under her wing, and like she really kind of helped me come out of my shell. Like a year ago, I wouldn't have been able to get on here and do this kind of
Yeah.
thing with you.
Yeah.
Um, she really pulled me out of my shell. And and then Mama Bear also, she loves us, all of us, and just the support and everything that I get from everybody there is amazing. I didn't find that in the group, like in the meetings, like AA or NA or anything like that, because there's a lot of like, to me, the old time, I don't know, not even old timers, just the meeting thing wasn't really my thing because I'm not a very social person sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, and I never really learned anything from them, not really.
Hmm.
So I didn't really do a 12-step program or anything like that. I did IOP and aftercare, and then really it's these Facebook groups is what is how I'm staying sober and keeping in with my recovery.
That's awesome. And I think like for a lot of people, it can be intimidating, to get to a meeting. And
Yes.
so it's good that we have these different options, or, people work weird schedules, or, you
Yes.
know, they work and they go to IOP, or they, whatever it is. So it's great that there's like options for people,
Well,
and
and the cool thing about Facebook is the lives. Once we're done with a live, it's on our page for 30 days after. So if you miss it while it's live, you can still go back and watch it.
mm,
So you can still get the content. You can still get, everything that you need. It just may not be live, but you can still get it for 30 days after, which I think is really cool.
yeah, it's amazing. And it's really, it's great to see the support that people give, like
Yes.
I saw a post, I don't know, maybe it was a couple days ago about somebody, trying to connect with detox or something like that. And so they were just having that like support system, I guess. It's just I think it's great. And it's another tool in your toolbox. So um
Absolutely. And we have a lot of resources. Like the
yeah.
thing is like we have people from all walks of recovery, and we also one of our admins is on the other side of it and is never been an addict.
Mm,
So we get her perspective, but she has an addict daughter, but we get her perspective on a family member
mm,
who's dealing with a family member who's in active addiction.
mm.
So it's really cool to have like both aspects of it.
Yeah.
Like we have the addicted addicts and then the non, which is awesome. You
Yeah.
know, to get that perspective. Not many people really.
Have that.
Yeah, I was gonna say have that. Thank you. I totally spaced
No, I was
out.
just thinking, and you listen to people who are, the mother of the um,
Yes,
addict, and you can you're like, oh, holy shit, what did I put my mom through? Like
exactly.
them
And
share
I think a
that.
lot of us did. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like once we were like, oh my gosh. And like I know for me, I was like, Mom, I love you so much. Thank you for never giving up on me. And she was like, what brought this on? I'm like, nothing. I just, you know,
Yeah.
I'm in my feelings. Just let me say thank you.
That's awesome. You had mentioned that you were diagnosed with MS. Can you
Yep.
just talk a little bit about like what that is? And then also, do you feel like that affected your mental health or your substance use at any
I
point?
definitely did because I basically, like I said, when the PML, I thought I was dying. Like I thought I had 6 months to live. Turns out I did not, obviously, because I'm still here. And I'm not even really sure what happened. I don't know if like a tech just misread the thing, but the doctor called me and I'm like freaking out. And she's like, "No, chill, whoa, whoa, what do you calm down?" I'm like, but by that point it was too late. You
Right,
know,
right.
I was already like off to the races. I was done. It was too late for me.
Mm.
But basically, MS is it. I really don't know how to describe it. Um, Basically, it attacks like your nervous system and your mu- muscular skeleton system. And I
Okay.
don't know if I said that right, but like, and I have no immune system. So like, when my kids get sick, I have to stay away from them. And like when COVID hit, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed at home. I didn't go out, nothing, because I was so afraid of getting COVID. Um, so I have to be really careful, like when things like COVID or the flu or, come out, because I get sick and I don't get sick like a normal person would get sick. It lasts way longer
Hmm.
and it takes a lot longer for me to recover. So, and I could be fine today, but tomorrow wake up and have to be in a wheelchair because of this. So, um, I'm not on any medication for it right now. We're still trying to kind of figure out what medication that would work for me. Because there's certain medications I can't take. So it just we're working on it to figure out what would be the best course of action right now.
Um, what would be I don't like to say the word advice because people don't like that word, right? We don't like to give people
Right.
advice. But what would you say to somebody who is maybe struggling or, in that dark place that you mentioned earlier where you're just really scared? Um,
Um, Reach out to, like we tell our members in both of our groups, we tell them reach out. There's always somebody available to talk, and it's a judgment free zone. We've been where you are at some point in time, and you never know, there might be something that we might say that will help you.
yeah.
And if, even if you're afraid to reach out, do it anyway, because that might just save your life.
Yeah. Amazing stuff. Um, well, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time and meeting with me and rolling with all the technology
Absolutely.
road bumps that we had to work through. Is there anything else you want to talk about or share?
Um, no, not really. I mean, I think I covered everything kind of in a nutshell what I wanted to cover. I could go on forever, but I
Yeah,
won't.
right. Right. Well,
Um,
I
so
appreciate you so much for sharing and
well,
being
thank you.
vulnerable.